My friend Ethan asked me very kindly to debunk this popular poster that keeps going around about the true origins of Christmas. I'm a scholar of interdisciplinary subjects, and I'm actually writing a book about this right now, so I will debunk every single one of these Christmas myths. First is about pre-Christian Yule. We have no idea how pre-Christian Yule was celebrated or even when it was. Some of the only information we have as to clues as to how it was celebrated come from Heimskringla, which was written by Snorri. Heimskringla, though, was written by 1230, and the Vikings Christianized around the year 900. As well, the story in Heimskringla that he tells is about King Haakon the Good, and we actually don't know if King Haakon was a real person. Reeds and holly are not Wiccan, they have gone back since antiquity. As for the mistletoe, though, that is not from Druids. The tradition of kissing under mistletoe actually comes from England in the 18th century. The only reason anybody thinks that this came from Druids is because of Fraser and his golden bough. The only mention we have of Druids and mistletoe comes from Pliny the Elder. Pliny talks about one ritual, and it has nothing to do with Christmas, solstice, or even fir trees. Next, Christmas trees. They have nothing to do with Saturnalia, and they're not pagan. Saturnalia was a Roman harvest holiday, and it happened on December 17th. At its absolute height, it went till the 21st. And we know exactly how Romans celebrated this, and there was no mention of trees or fir trees, nothing. Christmas trees are a German medieval tradition. They come from Paradise plays, and the earliest one we have is from 1419. Next, the idea that Santa is somehow Odin. We know exactly where Santa came from, and the idea that Santa is Odin is actually quite modern. It's only been thought of by American groups in the last 20 years. Santa is just the Pennsylvania Dutch version of St. Nicholas. And instead of coming on the 5th or the 6th in some cultures, he comes on the 25th because of the Reformation. The Reformation in some countries removed All Saints worship, and so a lot of his traditions got scattered around other parts of Christmas. Specifically the German tradition of the Christkindl, or Kris Kringle as you might know him. But Santa got his superpowers from one very specific place. I did a full 2-minute video on this, but Santa got his powers from a poem called Santa Claus with Much Delight. In that poem, he is physically depicted with reindeer and a sleigh for the first time. Santa got his flying powers and the rest of his reindeer from a poem that you might know called 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, or A Visit from St. Nicholas. We actually don't know much about the cult of Mithras. We have no writings from those who celebrated him. Some people confuse Mithras and Sol Invictus together because of Emperor Aurelian and the temple that he dedicated to both of them, but there's no connection here to Christmas. And as for Jesus' birthday, we do not know when he was born. That whole thing about watching shepherds at night, etc., that was all invented in the Gospel of Luke, and we have no idea if the information in Luke is accurate, because we know certain information in Luke, like the census, is not accurate. And if you're wondering how it is that somebody calculated Jesus' birth to the 25th of December, that has to do with a man named Hippolytus. Around 210, Hippolytus decided that since Jesus' death was somewhere around the spring equinox, 9 months later would be December 25th. We know this because we have his calculations, his full spreadsheet from 222 AD. As well, Christmas is not an ancient Celtic holiday. That idea comes from one famous fraudster, Iolo, or a man named Edward Williams. Edward Williams, or Iolo, is a Welsh nationalist, and he was somebody who wanted to link the ancient Druids to Wales. And he did it by completely inventing a Welsh Druid calendar that never existed before. He wrote several books that claimed were ancient pagan Druidic knowledge, and of course we know they're not. It's okay, the takeaway from this is it doesn't really matter how you celebrate this time of year, just don't spread misinformation.